What's up guys, this is Anime Crossover. I am back with a new series of What of Naruto with the King of Fighters Part 1. And if you did enjoy this video, give this video 100 likes. And if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. And now let's begin this new video.
First chapter today was another tragic day for Konoha. The city was in ruins, and its hero had been defeated. Pain looked at Naruto, who was unconscious, and carried him along one of his paths.
The battle was intense, but Naruto lacked the strength to compete with such a formidable foe.
There is only one target left, and the world will soon know Pain. Pain reflected as he flew alongside Konan. Naruto didn't even get a chance to wake up before the Kyuubi was violently removed from his body, killing him instantly because they were tied so tightly. "What am I doing?" Naruto mumbled as he awoke. He was dizzy and had an unusual feeling in his head, as if a chunk of his memory had been erased. Naruto's eyes finally adjusted and he found himself in the woods, which he recognized as a mountainous region. Where is this location? These trees are too small to be near Konoha or anywhere else I've been. Naruto thought as he stood up and looked around, finding the trees to be too small. He extended his hand and applied light pressure. The tree cracked as a result of the minuscule force. Certainly not close. Naruto confirmed because he didn't recall the nearby trees breaking with such ease. They had been blessed with abundant nature energy and had grown stronger than normal, as he had learned from Jiraiya. I really shouldn't have pursued Mukade. Naruto grumbled angrily as he remembered following a target through a portal. He took a look around and decided to leave the mountain to see if there were any clues.
The mountain was much smaller than the ones he was used to seeing, which seemed strange, along with the fact that his body felt lighter.
Perhaps I'm just stronger now, or something. Naruto reflected as he exited the mountain and stepped outside. Naruto couldn't find anything that stood out until he noticed people climbing the mountain from the other side. He could somehow extend his senses for 40 meters and tell their life force as well as their current emotion vaguely. Their life force is extremely low. Naruto considered but did not conclude that he was in a different world because he was not sensing chakra because not everyone or everything had chakra and it needed to be molded. He noticed the unusual clothing they were wearing and assumed he was in a different land or something because he had never seen anything like it in any of the places he had visited. Naruto approached them and asked, "Hello, can I have a moment of your time?" "Yes, how may we assist you?" Naruto inquired, and the couple turned to face him. Naruto was relieved that they did not react rudely and asked, "Can you tell me where the Land of Fire is?"
Naruto decided not to be direct because it could cause him problems.
"I've never heard of such a thing, but perhaps someone else will." The couple regarded him as a weeb, one of the worst types of foreigner to set foot on their territory. They excused themselves and left because they didn't want to deal with his kind.
They were impressed by his language but not willing to listen to his nonsense.
Wait, what just happened? Naruto was perplexed, but decided to move on rather than creating a problem from nothing.
After a few minutes of aimless walking, Naruto came to a halt and muttered confidently, "Come out, I know you're there."
He had a sense that someone had been following him for some time, and unlike the others, this person had a strong life force. "A shinobi," he says. Naruto was intrigued and hopeful by his mannerism. Naruto noticed a man appear a few meters away. The man stood tall, had black hair, and was dressed in a sleeveless red gi. "I apologize for my rude behavior, but your appearance piqued my interest." The man said calmly, without changing his expression. "What piqued your interest? You're not from here, and your demeanor tells me you're a ninja. So, are you one of those foreign ninjas from the United States or another country?" "USA?" Naruto stumbled over the words, surprising the man. "You said Land of Fire, but there is no such place. Is that a code word or are you serious?" Naruto looked at the man and decided it was best not to share his life with others. He was having strange feelings about the situation. "It's just a code name. I'd like to know where we are now." "Japan, near," Guy replied as he examined the child of the same age as Ibuki. "Hello, my name is Naruto. What about you?" Naruto responded cheerfully. "It was nothing, and my name is Guy. If you need anything, just ask around." Guy said as he took off at full speed, which didn't look promising in Naruto's opinion. He has a strong body, but his speed is appalling. I can tell from his words that I'm not in the same world because he seemed to imply that he knew the rest of the world, but just to be sure, I need to see a map. Naruto decided to be cautious, so he disguised himself as one of the people he saw and walked out of the woods. He appeared to be very strong and dangerous. I saw death the moment I considered attacking him. He seemed too casual about it. Is he even aware of his own power? He appears to have memory problems based on his questions. Guy reflected as he returned to his training area, where he practices the art of movement. Naruto's attempt did not fool him because he had been doing ninja work for several years and lying and gathering information was the norm. I should tell Master about him. He could cause problems in the country, so we should be ready to execute him if he exhibits evil behavior. Guy pondered as he pulled out his phone, so I'm not in our world any longer. As he sat on top of a building, looking down at the city below, Naruto came to a conclusion. He'd gotten to Tokyo by taking the train or riding on top of it, as he remembered doing in Land of Spring. He'd found a map, but it was completely unfamiliar to him. The land structure had changed. The continents were smaller and more numerous than he remembered. How do I get back now? Is there anyone who has power over space or something? Naruto inquired as he was feeling down. He was far from home and had no way of returning. The only good news was that the fox had also vanished. I hope it doesn't return home or go on a rampage in this world because I'm not sure I can stop it. Naruto sighed as he ate a sandwich he had swiped while watching the night scenery. He had no ID, was unsure where to go, and had no money, so he had turned to stealing. As he was finishing his meal, Naruto felt a strong life force and looked around for a large strange-looking man. It was an unusual sight to see a large dark-skinned man with a blonde mohawk. Naruto was perplexed by this man's fashion, but he didn't say anything because he didn't know much about the subject either. At the very least, I'm not that bad. Naruto reflected as he decided to follow the man to a bar in the far right corner. As Naruto approached the location, he felt a stronger force from within. The bar's name was Illusion, and Naruto was curious about the person inside because they had the most energy source he had ever felt. Guy was physically stronger, but this person has a larger energy reserve. Naruto pondered his decision to enter. Naruto appeared on the streets and transformed into a regular person, walking out of the alleyway and into the bar. Unlike those party spots, it was a calm environment where customers could converse, dance, or drink while listening to soft music. Naruto turned to face his quarry and discovered a woman dressed in male attire, with the man he was following sitting in front of her. "Why won't you give me a chance, love?" Birdie inquired, his gaze fixed on King. King looked him in the eyes and replied, "Have you ever looked in the mirror?"
Let's put your looks aside and get to the point. I'm just not interested, and you'll never be the one even if I was. So stop bothering me or I'll send you to the hospital.
I've been so nice to you for so long that you think you're good enough to fight me. Do you know who I am? Birdie exclaimed loudly as he smashed the chair, causing the entire establishment to collapse. When King moved, Naruto kicked Birdie on the shoulder with an axe kick, and he was down on the floor, his bones creaking. Naruto noticed that, unlike Birdie, King properly utilized the energy and strengthened her attack, whereas Birdie's attempt was instinctive. Stop causing havoc or I will break your limbs this time. It makes no difference to me who you are. As she jumped back to her side, King motioned for everyone to continue with their activities. Birdie was enraged, but he knew he'd be in a lot of pain, so he walked away, and Naruto followed. I will undoubtedly make her pay. Nobody gets away with inflicting pain on Birdie. I'll just inform that jerk Balrog, and she'll rush over to Birdie. Birdie planned as he walked out of the bar. Naruto thought the man was truly incompetent and neither important nor evil to the point where he should care. Following him will be a waste of time. Naruto finished and returned inside, where he sat in front of King. Naruto's name is Naruto. Could you please tell me your name? Naruto stated cheerfully. You either have the guts and strength to try the same thing, or you're insane. King said calmly as she looked at him, her eyes widening. What power? Why hadn't I felt it before? King was taken aback when she sensed Naruto's strength, as he lacked control.
An enemy or just a fan? I just want to be friends, so I don't need to be brave.
I'd like to know what kind of energy you used. Naruto responded after analyzing King and determining that she was not a threat. Key, the energy formed from a body's physical force, requires extensive training to acquire unless you are a blessed individual. As she saw no danger from Naruto, King responded. She had previously lived in a dangerous city and had grown accustomed to such people, so she was skilled at judging them. Thank you for your honest response, and I apologize for bothering you, But do you know where to find key users in this world? What kind of skills do they possess? I know a few, but I can't share their information because it is private. If you want to see a variety of abilities, attend the King of Fighters tournament. King stated calmly as she prepared a drink. Fighting King? The King of Fighters tournament brings together the best fighters from around the world. Because there are so many strange abilities in this tournament, I'll say it's your best guess. The previous tournament ended on a low note, but it became a worldwide phenomenon, so it will be even bigger this time. But you'll need a reputation to get an invitation, and I've never heard your name, so you'll have to enter small tournaments and street fights to get people's attention. While King had her assistants handle the business because Naruto was more of a concern, he appears to be a rookie who is unaware of ki and has abysmal control because he does not appear to be the type to throw his presence around. Strangely, his posture indicates combat experience. Naruto absorbed her words and considered them. The method was something he would enjoy because he enjoys fighting with people in a playful manner and can also find out about what he wants without having to look around the world. Thank you for explaining, and do you know of any tournaments I can enter right now? Naruto inquired as he sipped his banana smoothie. There are 2 events going on in the neighborhood tonight, but I will recommend one because the other is a little too dangerous. But first, you must control the energy that is escaping from your body. Naruto felt his body and noticed that his chakra was leaking out in tiny amounts, so he closed his eyes and sealed it inside his body. I'm sorry, I just have bad control, so it happens from time to time. It's not a big deal because it's not bad enough to harm the environment. Now for the fight, there is one nearby where you can test your mettle against Zangief. He is very strong and durable, but his fighting style isn't that difficult to counter. Even so, you have to be careful because 1 hit from him is worse than 10 hits from me. Is that correct? Can you triumph over him? King fixed his gaze on him, assuming he meant she was weaker than him and that if she could defeat Zangief, it wouldn't be a problem. 6 out of 10 inches, so he's strong. I'll investigate. Would beating him earn me enough kudos? No, simply beating one guy is insufficient. Maybe he was just a bad match for you, so you should beat other fighters and find teammates because KOF is a team tournament, not a solo one. King responded with a smile. She was now curious about the boy who reminded her of Terry and Ryo. Would you come with me if I asked? King laughed. You should first work on your reputation, and then we'll see. I haven't decided whether or not to participate. Thank you, Naruto said as he stood up. I will repay you for this favor. Naruto walked away with a wad of cash, oblivious to the currency and simply laying down the cash because it didn't matter to him. Didn't he steal that money? King wasn't sure whether she should report him for petty crime because it could lead to bigger problems, similar to what would happen if someone reported Akuma or the Mishimas. Naruto walked out of the bar feeling rejuvenated after speaking with someone nice and beautiful. I'm curious how good she is. As he walked towards the location King had specified, Naruto reflected. Fighting Zangief in an underground ring was one of the qualification requirements for the underworld tourney put on by the Kingpin. To Naruto, the location was very close because he moved at speeds faster than sound by multiples, even though he felt he was only moving at 1% of his original speed because his maximum had dropped from Mach 150 to Mach 5. I'm not sure what happened or why I lost speed but gained strength. Naruto was perplexed, which raised more questions in his mind about the situation. He wasn't surprised by the rise of his chakra now that the Kyuubi was gone. It meant the chakra that had been used to combat the Kyuubi was finally free. His chakra reserves were monstrous, even exceeding those of most tail beasts, thanks to Kurama's assistance in growing it beyond mortal limits to the point where even Hashirama Senju had fewer reserves than Naruto. Now that the Kyuubi is gone, I should probably learn to control my techniques. If I practice hard enough, I'll be able to use Genjutsu, but first I need to make the Rasengan with one hand and practice the high-speed movement, as well as elemental control and replacement jutsu. As his mind was filled with thoughts of fighting, Naruto's thoughts turned to improvement. He wasn't concerned about his world because he didn't know about the threats and assumed they'd be concerned about him but nothing else, and he was preparing to return. Worrying would be futile, so he preferred to concentrate without stress, which would reduce his productivity. Sir, please come in. Because Naruto was in the shape of king, the guard in casual clothing greeted him with respect. She must have had time when she concealed her gender. Naruto concluded with a single sentence because no one would dare to call King a man with that stature.
Naruto nodded and walked downstairs, transforming into Kakashi as he went down the dark stairs. Naruto could see a crowd of people mixing and doing inappropriate things, as well as enjoying the violence with no rules.
Naruto looked at the cage where a giant of a man was smashing a poor man into the ground, which appeared to be extremely painful, and Naruto heard his spine snap. The man was dead as he hit the ground, but no one panicked or screamed in delight. These people are insane. There is no worth to life. Naruto scowled in disgust as he approached the stage. Is there anyone who dares to challenge me? Zangief yelled out in a ferocious tone. I do. Who? With his strange appearance, Zangief looked at Naruto. That's great. I hope you have the strength to back up your confidence. Zangief smiled, his face filled with fighting spirit. I hope you're not just a big lump of meat and have the strength to back up your confidence. Naruto responded, which drew a glare from Zangief, who saw Naruto as a no-name fighter. No more chit-chat, Zangief said as he charged Naruto with a lariat. Naruto noticed the slow attack and realized that, despite being stronger than King, she would win most of the time due to the speed difference. Too slow, Naruto grumbled as he kicked his back through the opening. It was the first time Rasengan had faced an opponent who did not use ninjutsu, and he was simply too destructive to notice that his hits were not particularly powerful. His kick had enough force to kill an elephant, but Zangief was stronger than that and was barely bruised by the move. Fast and strong, I might have to get serious, Zangief said as he was pushed into the cage. Naruto paused and considered his fighting style because he didn't want to kill him but needed to take him down. I'll have to work on my strength, but I'll have to be careful not to overdo it. Naruto made his decision and moved before Zangief could react. The entire arena fell silent as Zangief was blown away by a hit to the stomach and broke through the cage, hitting the back wall and injuring some spectators. He had a deep fist pressed against his skin, and his bones had most likely broken on impact, and he was barely alive at the time. OOOHHH, the crowd erupted in delight as a new fighter entered the fray. The fight was being videotaped, and many in the underworld had witnessed the spectacle. This was asking for trouble, as the fight demonstrated that it was clearly one-sided, with Naruto demonstrating that it was a mistake.
Shit, I couldn't keep it under control. I hope he survives.
Naruto cursed in his mind and vanished from the scene at full speed, increasing curiosity because the cameras used in the area were of the highest quality and should have been capable of tracking a target moving at Mach 1. How do you feel about that, young master? As she sat on the left, a woman with a sensual body inquired of a man with red hair. He's good, and I'd like to fight him. As purple flames sparked in his hands, the man stood up to leave.
Naruto came to a halt after unexpectedly reaching another city in his haste, as Japan was quite small and Naruto moved very quickly at full speed.
Where am I now? Naruto observed that the area was less crowded than before. I should have just gone to King, she says. Naruto palmed his face after realizing he had been shape-shifting and no one would be able to find him. Well, it's finished now. I'll return after I take a look. Naruto made the decision as he began walking in Asuma's direction, wearing an orange hoodie and black jeans he had seen on the way. Naruto walked around the city, taking in the sights as well as the street food. It was enjoyable, and he got to sample a variety of delicacies, some familiar and some unfamiliar. He encountered people of various nationalities and overheard them speaking strange languages. Naruto realized he looked like one of those people from the United States but spoke Japanese. With so many languages, these guys must struggle to communicate. Naruto mused as he ate his chips. He liked the place because he realized there wasn't much crime because he hadn't seen any elsewhere in the city. Naruto's eye caught movement on top of the buildings as he walked casually. A figure was jumping across them. Naruto looked around and saw a girl dressed in ninja garbs. She had low genin level energy and an unknown level of power and strength. More vulnerable than Zangief and King. Naruto concluded with a look and moved on, as following the girl would cause trouble with her clan, and clans were very touchy. Take care where you walk. As he looked down his path, he noticed that he had almost collided with a very feminine man dressed in red and with white hair. Sorry, Naruto apologized as he stepped to the side and began walking. He was very strange, and I felt threatened by him. Naruto reflected as he looked back and saw that the man had also turned back and smiled at him. The man was joined by his companions and walked away, waving his hand. He knows I'm a fighter, he says. Naruto was intrigued, but he felt it would be impolite to spy on people who did not concern him. If he's good, he'll probably show up around the tournament. Naruto came to a conclusion and decided to return. You certainly did a number on him. It's all over the internet, and your popularity is skyrocketing. As she showed him the video from the official Street Fighter's website, King said. When King showed Naruto the results of his act, he had just returned to Tokyo in the afternoon and entered the bar to ask for more directions. How many more must I defeat? Naruto inquired, hoping for a challenge this time. Not many, just 1 or 2, Zangief is good but slow, and he was caught off guard, so you expect him to come after you. King responded while she analyzed him more closely this time because she understood him better. Nice guy, but it appears he is unfamiliar with the internet or most technology. King reflected as she met Naruto's inquiring gaze. Did he, like Ryu and his ilk, live in the mountains? King recalled the wandering warrior who hid his desire for combat. Really? Is there anything he can do? Naruto inquired as he noticed King staring at him excessively. Is she noticing me? He, of course, does. Zangief is a world-class grappler with an extremely durable physique. When he is serious, not even tanks can injure him. Your attack hit him while he was playing around, and he will be completely fine by tomorrow morning. King explained that she had realized Naruto didn't know anything about the world and was, like Ryu, raised far away from civilization. Isn't that a bit much? Heal so many broken bones in one night. Does he have a healer by his side, or does he have a healing ability? Naruto was taken aback by her words because he didn't believe there would be much a difference in ability whether he was serious or not. But King's expression told him that Zangief was supposed to be a lot tougher than what he was dealing with. Because he is used to being hurt, his body has powerful healing abilities. His martial arts path is all about endurance and strength. As a result, this fight does not count for the people because many of them will dismiss it as a fluke. What are your thoughts? I'm not sure because I've never seen you fight, but you have the advantage in energy and speed, so you should win. Why don't we have a fight and you can give me some advice on how to improve and who I can challenge? Naruto smiled and offered. He was very curious about her ability and wasn't lying. If he was going to work with King, she should at least be aware of his abilities, albeit not all of them, as he needed to keep his full power hidden in order to avoid becoming entangled in nefarious plans. He could tell King wasn't a bad person thanks to his new senses, and she made him feel good. She had a pleasant personality and assisted him when she could have thrown him out. She was the third person in his life who had helped him without any connection to him and at no cost. The first was Tucci, and the second was Iruka, while everyone else had some connection to him, was performing a duty, or required him. It made her special in his eyes because not many people were willing to sympathize with him and simply treated him like he was living his life. Not a bad idea, but I have a better one for you. Take this, and I'd like you to write down some of my problems. As she placed the iPhone in front of him, King said with a gentle smile. Naruto knew what it was because he had seen people use it, but he had no idea how to use it. What kind of issue? Mad Gear is a gang that has been causing problems in town late at night. I know they are the perpetrators, but I have no evidence, and fighting them alone is impossible for me. Don't you think this is an insufficient wage for such a job? Naruto inquired, his brow furrowed, as he suspected she was taking advantage of him. What do you expect in exchange? King inquired because she was intrigued and wanted to put him to the test. Provide me with food for a year. Naruto inquired because he disliked stealing and needed a source of food in the city. He wasn't going to rely on her for long, but Naruto didn't want to appear weak, lest she try to exploit him in other ways. Alright, King said without hesitation, as feeding another mouth wasn't much of a problem. Great, give me the details and I'll take care of them tonight. King nodded and intended to follow him. She wanted to see what kind of being he was for herself. Was Naruto a dark inner being like Ryu, a monster like Akuma, a lovable fellow like Ryo, or something else entirely? Taking the phone and learning how to use it, Naruto began learning about his surroundings, as King realized he knew nothing. Naruto asked for help directly after discovering she had discovered it, and she gave him some books from her room to read. Naruto had finally learned something about this planet called Earth. It was a planet where the vast majority of people were ordinary and everyone was born with ki. The majority of people in the ninja world were ordinary people, with only a small percentage of chakra users. Chakra users and chakra births were in the minority, and not everyone born with the ability to use chakra learned how to use it because they were unaware of the fact. Chakra was a combination of mental, spiritual and physical energy, whereas ki was the physical energy. Everyone in this world could learn to use ki if they wanted to, but it was difficult work, and those who were not talented would have to bleed for it. It was because of this that ki became rare over time, and people began to believe that those who possessed it were born with it. It became the property of specific groups or clans, dojos, and was not something that the average citizen was aware of. According to what he read, Ki could do everything chakra could do, except bring people from the afterlife, teleportation, portal creation, molecular disintegration, spiritual attacks, and so on. Naruto wasn't stupid enough to base his decisions on these books, which were not secret manuals. People with such uncommon abilities were never common in the first place, so he had to go looking for them. There were 4 people at the top of this world who were considered extremely dangerous. Tung Fu Ru, Akuma, Jin Kazama, Kazuya Mishima, and Rugal Bernstein were all combat monsters, and 2 of them were evil beyond redemption. Tung Fu Ru, the legendary master of Hakiokasekin, was a former student of both the noble Jeff Bogard and the power-hungry Geese Howard. He was also the coach of Terry Bogard, the current top fighter in the United States. The man was the only gentle and kind person among these monsters. He lived his life far from modern civilization, keeping his power ready for when it was needed. Akuma had challenged the old man, but he had only received a defeat. Akuma was a pure fighter who sought out great fighters to fight and killed people, whereas Jin Kazama appeared to have a dark side that drove him to murder. Both were monsters who killed many people without remorse, but the other 2 were pure evil because they had done far worse things outside of battle. Rugal, who held the King of Fighters tournament after Heihachi Mishima's first Iron Fist tournament, was the reason the world finally learned more about the hidden masters. KOF capitalized on the excitement generated by Iron Fist by inviting major clan members and strong fighters from around the world to challenge himself in order to demonstrate his abilities. He had challenged the head of the Kusanagi clan, one of Japan's strongest fighters, and defeated him before the tournament. Akuma appeared to be in deep meditation and missed the opportunity to fight Rugal after the man was defeated by Kyo Kusanagi's team and blew up the ship where the final was taking place in rage. Normal people assumed he died in the explosion, but in the martial arts world, people expect him to reappear sooner or later to exact revenge on Team Japan. The main thing that every Ki user had in common was body enhancement and Ki projectiles. Not every Ki user possessed an elemental attack, but everyone could use pure Ki as an attack by shaping it into whatever they desired. Naruto would have looked down on them, but he understood that the normal world was extremely dangerous due to the existence of atomic bombs, missiles, and other powerful weapons. The atomic bomb and its siblings were more powerful than anything he had ever seen before and would almost certainly kill him if he was hit directly. Then there was Akuma, the man whose power had caused a small island to sink. Naruto had no idea how he did it or if he could replicate it, but that didn't matter because it demonstrated that this world had powerful people and that he could continue living in the hope of finding a way. He had always acted positively because negativity would make him weak and only cause pain. He had grown up with pain and knew how to deal with it. Naruto always looked on the bright side of things because negative thinking only makes things worse. Naruto felt relieved after learning new things and meeting a nice person. "Wait for me, I'll be right back." Naruto made a promise to his friends back home, unaware that Konoha had vanished from the map and that the world was on the verge of the Immortal Queen's awakening. The Mad Gear Gang was once led by the shady businessman Belger and controlled virtually all of Metro City, USA, from the slums to the transportation systems all the way up to the Uptown District, with at least one cop in their pocket. Despite his claims that the gang was an outlet for Metro City's frustrated, disadvantaged youth and a safe haven from the worst aspects of urban life, Mad Gear was a racketeering and underworld enterprise under his lavish management. This situation erupted when Mike Hager was elected mayor following a campaign promise to be tough on crime. The gang's tyranny came to an end when they clashed with Cody and his friend Guy over the kidnapping of Mike's daughter Jessica. The gang had made a name for itself from the United States to Japan, but had eventually fallen to its current state. Members split up, taking paths as diverse as professional wrestling, attempting to found a utopian nation, starting a legitimate and legal business, and remaining in law enforcement. It was made up of a few members in Tokyo these days, and the gang's main gig had been wrestling, some illegal fights, and even shady dealings with Shadowloo or Nest. Really, they were just out-of-control teenagers who had become enamored with the grandeur of violence and enjoyed the freedom of power, but reality had set in and they had discovered how dangerous the world was. Regardless, it appears that it was difficult to let go of the crush, so the gang members continued to commit crimes, albeit covertly and without leaving evidence because they didn't have much power these days. They weren't a major issue yet, but King could see that they were making moves to take over one of the Yakuza gangs. Naruto ran alongside King as they ran towards the harbor, where the gang had rented a warehouse. He could sense many signals of varying strength and realized that if he wasn't serious, it could turn into a real battle. Looking at King, Naruto decided to investigate them without using his clones. The clones were at the heart of his fighting style, and he had worked tirelessly to develop a fighting style that made effective use of them. It was constantly evolving, and even Jiraiya had stated that with this style, no one would be able to compete with him in combat after a few years. Similarly, Naruto had become the founder of a new fighting style, but it was still in its infancy because he was still growing, and it might die with him because it required too much chakra, and people would rather use it on more powerful jutsu. "I'd like to travel alone. Are you sure?" King asked as they stood above a building far from the warehouse. She was interested in how he would handle them. The Mad Gear was smaller in size than before, but the main core members were all present except for a few. Since their defeat, those members' power had only grown. Each battle in the world of fighting either kills or grows you. Peace had slowed her progress, but even without the king, she wouldn't be able to defeat all 6 members at once. That would necessitate the use of someone like Terry or Ryu to complete the task without causing harm. Mad Gear was a small time gang in the big world, but its members had a reputation in the fighting world. "I trust my instincts, and you're keeping an eye on me, so I'm not worried. We've become friends." "Get back from the fight, and we're friends." King shook her head and smiled at him. The young man had been friendly and likable up until now, with no real negative traits. "I made a promise." Naruto smiled broadly and dashed towards his destination. It was as if he had taken flight, as King had never seen anyone make such a long jump in her life, covering more than 100 meters and landing at the warehouse's entrance. The feat was not impossible, but he did not cause any damage to the ground. "I thought he had bad control, but this is top-tier ki control." Naruto had performed a high-level technique in the warrior world, damage mitigation, and King was very impressed. When warriors reached a certain level, their attacks would cause massive damage, so some warriors knew a technique that left the world unaffected. Another technique that did something similar was to improve the environment itself to handle the increase in power. He almost certainly did the enhancement. He could never pull off the first one. King was correct. Naruto had simply strengthened the surface to withstand the force, otherwise he would have crushed the building beneath him. It was a basic ninja technique to avoid causing destruction, and he obviously knew the first technique as well, or he wouldn't be able to run at such high speeds. His top speed was over Mach 100, which meant he could literally set the surroundings on fire and cause massive destruction by moving, so he cancelled out the effect with chakra. Every ninja had to learn this properly, and it was their life code. Guy and Lee mostly followed it as well, but their fighting style made use of these natural effects by limiting them to a small area. Naruto wasn't a serious person, so he experimented with it in deserts and other places where there were no people. It was a lot of fun to see the air on fire, the ground on fire, and turning the sand to glass and leaving destruction by simply running or jumping. However, he avoided becoming too engrossed in this fascination and learned to appreciate nature even more than usual while walking the path of the sage. Jiraiya had been training Naruto in control and meditation as part of his preparation for learning the sage mode. He'd learned far more about nature than he cared to remember. His wind control was already excellent, and with this training, it was only getting better. "What is your name? Don't you realize this is our territory?" Naruto looked at the leather-clad men in the warehouse behind them. He had only recently arrived at the wharfs. It was one of the bases of Mad Gear, a gang that had been on the rise in Tokyo for some time, taking over the previous gangs. "I'm here to meet Poison. Why don't you summon her?" Naruto responded confidently, having been told that she was a very agile and skilled opponent. The new leader of Mad Gear, with a street-ready style. "A dirty fighter who doesn't play fair is exactly my type of fighter. You should have left when we asked, kid. It appears that you will be swimming with the fishes today." The man replied as he motioned for the others to kill him. Because gun laws were strict and making noise was risky with supernatural beings moving at random, the gangs mostly relied on knives and swords. The thugs charged at him, armed with steel knuckles, pipes, and daggers. It appears that the pressure of being a rising gang had got into their heads, and that mysterious supporter had exacerbated their behavior. Naruto rolled his eyes at such a stupid attempt as the man approached him in slow motion. "I should have just listened," she says. Naruto reasoned that because everyone fell like dolls in a single moment, It was too one-sided to be called a fight. Wow, that was fantastic. Naruto heard a voice in the sound of clapping and turned to see a very scantily clad woman wearing heels and 5 other members. Roxy resembled Poison in appearance because they were twins, except her hair was orange. She wore a black peak cap, a midriff-bearing tank top, black high-heeled shoes, cut-off red jean shorts, and a pair of handcuffs, just like Poison. Sodom wore Tabi and Zori, samurai gauntlets, blue jeans, body armor, and a samurai kabuto mask that obscured all of his facial features except his blue eyes. Sodom had written the Japanese kanji shi, which means death, on the front of his outfit. He held a pair of jeet, a weapon he'd been using for more than a decade, making him a weapon master. Rolento, a muscular, athletic, and acrobatic German-American man with solid white eyes, a pronounced jaw and cheekbones, and a scar running down from his forehead through his nose bridge and into the left side of his face, was one of them. He was dressed in yellow military fatigues, a red scarf around his neck, a brown belt, and a brown leather chest harness containing 2 grenades. He wore a red beret, brown military equestrian boots, and brown fingerless gloves while fighting with a green staff and green grenades. There was Abigail, one of Mad Gear's giants, standing 3 meters tall, similar to Hugo but taller than Zangief, who stood 2.5 meters. He was shirtless, but wore goggles and large tire shoulder bands with chains draped across them. He wore his black flap-top hairstyle, shoulder-length dreadlocks, and tire track patterned trousers, which were held up by a belt with a cog as a buckle. Finally, there was Hugo, the hulking giant who resembled Abigail. Hugo was dressed in a pink leopard skin tank top, darker pink jeans, brown boots, and black studded wristbands. He wore a thick chain that wrapped around his waist 3/4 of the way and ended at his hip. He had long, unkempt black hair that bounced and moved as he moved and attacked. The 2 giants, who resembled the Hulk, were the group's big muscles. The entire gang was present as they plotted their next moves. I wasn't expecting this, but she's definitely using her beauty to distract her enemies. Naruto thought her style was very ninja-like. You must be Poison. Please accept my apologies, but I need to take you down, Naruto responded. I don't believe we have any animosity between us, so why don't you join us? I'll make you a founding member, Poison stated sensually. Her voice was so attractive and sweet that it could melt a weak man's heart, but Naruto was stubborn and refused to budge. It's strange, he didn't even react. Poison was taken aback because it was her first encounter with such a man, but if she had met Ryu and Akuma first, Naruto would have been the third. I don't work for bad guys. While deciding to test Poison, Naruto stated confidently that she was not a threat but could be an inspiration for new techniques. Hey sis, has your voice weakened or is the guy a machine? Roxy muttered as she stood next to Poison, wielding a metal bat. It was her primary weapon, similar to Poison's whip. Naruto threw a small pebble at Poison at close to Mach 1, and she reacted by attacking with her whip. Even then, her movement was sensual, especially up there, to the point where Naruto was affected. Poison wore a black peak cap with a chain-link design, a skimpy white midriff-revealing tank top, and a pair of skimpy denim, Daisy Dukes, cut-off shorts and high heels with her long pinkish-purple hair. She also wore a chain around her waist, a studded black collar around her neck, and a pair of handcuffs that hung from the chain. Her appearance suggested she was sadistic and enjoyed seeing people in pain. Won't you think about it, we're not so bad, Poison responded, and she could tell this wasn't going to be a good fight because the opponent was too relaxed, and when the opponent was relaxed, it just screamed hidden dragon crouching tiger. To be continued.
That's it for this part, guys. Thanks for watching today's video. If you did enjoy this part of the story, like, share and subscribe for more, and thank you all for having support and enjoy the rest of your day.